Hello, everybody, and welcome to Influential Women. Here we empower, connect, and inspire women who are leading, creating, and redefining what is possible. I'm your host, Jodie O'Brien, and today's guest is Kelly Roach. She's an entrepreneur, business strategist, author, and founder of Kelly Roach International. Kelly leads an 8-figure business alongside multiple 6 and 7-figure companies, helping entrepreneurs and leaders scale through sales, leadership, and sustainable growth strategies. Before launching her own company, she earned 7 promotions in 8 years, led teams of more than 100 people across 17 locations, and broke company sales records along the way. But what makes Kelly's story especially compelling is her commitment to build success without sacrificing what matters most. As a wife, mother, entrepreneur, and leader, she has become a leading voice on faith-driven leadership, relationship-based sales, family-first entrepreneurship, and building businesses that create both impact and freedom. Today, we'll talk about the sacred art of selling, leadership in the age of AI, building a business that supports your life instead of consuming it, and what it really means to create success on your own terms. Kelly, welcome. We're so glad to have you here.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You've succeeded at the highest levels of both corporate leadership and entrepreneurship. Looking back, what were the biggest lessons from your corporate career that still guide you and guide how you lead today?
Yeah. Well, I was very blessed that I had a mentor for almost 15 years, starting from the very first entry level role that I had all the way up through senior leadership. So when I think about my corporate career, I absolutely learned all of the foundations of business growth strategy, leadership, sales, psychology of leading and inspiring humans. So for me, the bigger my companies grow, actually, the more that I utilize the things that I initially learned in the corporate world for sure.
Well, Kelly, you often talk about redefining success. How has your definition of winning evolved over the years?
Yeah, well, when I describe success, I think there's always a hierarchy of needs, right? I think that in your early stages, you're trying to build the foundation. And the foundation is, you have to pay the bills, you need a place to live, you need to cover the fundamentals. You have to put yourself in a position to be able to deal with life coming at you, right? And so that's kind of the first rung of success is just getting to the point where you can comfortably do all of those things. But as you achieve higher levels of success, it's really about how does your success facilitate your ability to impact and be of service to others, to build the life that success can create and translate your success into impact. And that's why I think we need more women leading at a high level and making lots of money because money in the right hands is what changes the world. And you have to put yourself in a position where you're successful enough that you no longer have to think about just yourself or the basic fundamentals so that you can put your energy towards being of service and impact and affecting other people.
Many people, obviously, they pursue this financial success only to discover that it doesn't really bring the fulfillment that we all expected it would. So, how do
Right.
you balance ambition with purpose, faith, and family?
Yeah, it's so important. I think the biggest thing that I've seen, I've coached thousands of entrepreneurs, and obviously I've been one, myself for quite a while. And I've seen a lot of people come and go, and I've seen a lot of people that achieved success on paper, but then ultimately ended up having to get out of the game completely, or, their business dissolved or shut down or whatever the case. And usually it's because either there's a physical health issue, there's a mental health issue, or there's a dissolution of the marriage. And unfortunately, a lot of people think they can just sacrifice in all the areas of life to pursue success, and then those things will be there later. And that's not how life works. And so I'm really trying to get the message across to leaders and entrepreneurs and business owners that you have to establish at the foundation of how you build, how your life is going to integrate with your work. There is no real balance. So we won't say balance, but how does that integration look? And how can you keep yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually healthy as you grow so that when you do get to celebrate those big milestones, those important and meaningful successes, that you're in good mental health, that you're in good physical health, and that you're with the people that you love.
That's so good because it is so easy to get out of balance, right? We can be making great money, but our family life is suffering, or the
Yeah.
family's doing great, but the
Yeah.
business is suffering. And so I
Yeah.
love that. Well, this next question, I mean, I think I might know the answer just because my background is in development and fundraising. There was a season when I did that. And so I remember fundraising and approaching people for donations and realizing like there's a joy in giving. And so my question for you is on the sales side, you describe sales as a service rather than a
Mhm.
strategy. And so I'm thinking that's what we're going to talk about here. But what do you mean by that? And why do so many entrepreneurs struggle with selling?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, first of all, I think the most dangerous mindset that you can have in business is I'm not a good salesperson or I don't like to sell because how can you help people if you don't have the conviction to want to champion them to the result that they want? And that's why I believe that sales, when it's done right with the right intention, is service and it is sacred because it truly is about being present for another human being, listening, diagnosing, and understanding their goals, their needs, their vision, and then diagnosing what the best path forward is going to be to help them to achieve those things. Sometimes that's going to be with you, and sometimes it's not. But it's a sacred position to be the person that holds the key to someone else's future. And when you are representing, especially a service, that's truly the position that you stand in. And I don't think enough people see sales in that light, and so they avoid it. And then what happens is the people that desperately need them are robbed of the opportunity to work with them because they're not showing up in their own power to sell with full conviction.
Mm, that's so good. So many women obviously feel uncomfortable promoting themselves or
Yeah.
asking for that sale. So,
Yeah.
how can they shift their mindset and approach sales with greater confidence and authenticity?
It's such a good question, and I think it comes down to one specific thing, and that is it's not about you. And when we struggle to sell, it's because we're making it about ourselves. We're not thinking about the person that we're trying to help. We're not thinking about the difference we can make. We're not thinking about the needs of the person sitting in front of us. We're thinking about ourselves. And so it's this very interesting duality psychology of so many business owners and particularly women who have trouble promoting their businesses or, asking for what they want when it's like that very thing that they're trying to be that they say they're trying to be, which is that they don't want to be, pushy or aggressive or they don't want to be, asking for something. They are actually being what they don't want to be by focusing on themselves instead of focusing on the person in front of them that they could actually help.
Hmm. Do you think that that helps with rejection? Because that's the worst, right?
Yeah, I mean, rejection is a part of success. It's the most important stepping stone to success. If you look at all of the best athletes in the world, they took the most shot or they swung the bat the most times. It's not that they had the highest ratio, it's that they took the most opportunities. And anyone that is successful at a high level will tell you that rejection is one of the most important ways to gather meaningful information so that you understand how to continue to iterate and evolve your strategy to get to the next level of success. So when people try to protect themselves from failure by not taking action, what happens is they never get the necessary information to learn what works to achieve their goal. So again, it's like by you doing the opposite of what you need to do, you're actually standing in the way and creating the opposite effect of what you want to. If you allow rejection to be part of your information gathering process every step of the way, you will have a very strong understanding of what works, what doesn't work, what people's mindset is, how you need to evolve and kind of shift and change the wrapping paper on your offers. And it's going to inform your strategy in a really meaningful way.
I can understand too, like, this is basically a faith based question, I would think. But the question is, what separates trust based selling from manipulative selling?
Yeah, I mean, exactly, right? It's there's a moral code, right? And I have a principle called the currency of integrity. And, what I always tell people is that if you operate in the currency of integrity, meaning that there's a moral and ethical code that drives every decision that you make, and you stay in that currency of abundance, that the currency of integrity is going to pay you 100x, right? So that means that, like, you don't have to step outside of your beliefs, values, or principles to get a sale or to get a result that you want. Because when you're in the currency of integrity, you're doing enough of the right things continuously, and you're in a state of trust, you're in a state of faith to know, like, there's an abundance of opportunity. There's always a next bus coming, right? With opportunity, but it's being patient and knowing when it is right. And if it is right, there's no need to do anything that is outside of that ethical code in order to make it happen.
Great segue to AI. We're hearing
And
every day about how AI is transforming business. So, why do you believe relationship capital is becoming even more valuable as tech advances?
I mean, let's just start with this. How many people listening to this show today enjoy when you call the bank and you have to go through a 17-step AI process before you eventually are wanting to throw your phone out the window and have a nervous breakdown trying to do a simple thing on your bank account? That's AI. So I think that there was something back in the day called tulip mania, right? Where a lot of people lost everything because the prices of tulips went crazy, everybody bought into the hype, and then a lot of people lost everything. AI is gonna be very similar. Now, the difference is AI is not gonna go away. AI is here to stay. AI is gonna be everywhere, it's gonna be in everything. However, people think that AI is the advantage, and what they don't realize is AI is just like the internet. When everyone has it and it's integrated into everything, AI is not your advantage. The only thing that will be left will be the soul of your business, your voice, your relationships, your story, and the things that are personal and specific to you. So smart business owners are doubling down on relationship capital now because that's really one of the only things, if not the only thing, that is not going to be primarily driven by AI in the future. And I think that, what we've seen in my business, I just released the Miracle Hour book. Our business is exploding. We're growing faster than ever. We just had our biggest launch ever, our biggest live attendance ever. And the why behind that is that this contrarian message is resonating because in people's heart of hearts, even though they want the shortcut of AI, they know that people do business with people. And people are extremely turned off. The number one complaint on the internet, right? AI slop. And the moment that your clients think that you're putting AI between you and them, they're going to go find someone that isn't. So it's just being smart about how you use it and where you use it. It's going to be in everything. There's nothing we can do about that. But it's being smart about how and where and when and what the application of it is.
So, how do you give someone advice who has a small business and they're wanting to embrace AI, but they don't want to lose that human connection that
Mhm.
drives that loyalty and that long-term growth? Like,
Yeah.
how do you strike that balance?
Mhm. Yeah, so you wanna look at tactical tasks that are done repetitively, that can be systemized and organized and compress the time using AI. So AI can manage processes, run systems, develop reporting, and do repetitive tasks for you. And the more effective you are at shifting those operational things off of your plate, the more time that you have to then invest in building relationship capital with your own personal time. And so I would think about it front end of the business, human forward, back end of the business, tech forward.
So you've spoken about that next era of leadership requiring more than just that high performance. So, what leadership qualities do you believe will matter most moving forward?
In the activation era, which is being triggered by the new AI world that we're in, we already are seeing analog is absolutely exploding right now. Live experiences are exploding. People are attending more live streams. And so, because of the fact that information can be accessed in a second using AI, the type of leadership that's needed is thoughtful, deep, perspective driven by time, nuance. It's more thoughtful and, it's going to end up being a return to true thought leadership, which is a word that has been so manipulated and abused and overused and, like, do we even have any thought leaders anymore? But the people who don't start demonstrating true thought leadership and are just regurgitating information, they're just going to be overlooked and out of business because obviously that's the kind of stuff that AI can do for us, right?
So, how would you say that emotional intelligence, conviction, values based leadership really has a place in business and with the outcomes?
Well, I think anyone that's going to lead at a high level embodies all of those things, right? You have to have a unique perspective. You have to have thoughtful IP. You have to be able to be willing to be contrarian to the rest of your industry in certain ways. And I think a lot of people confuse contrarian with being opinionated. Having an opinion that's different or having a hot take or having a disagreement with other people is not the same as having a contrarian viewpoint that actually adds value and makes a difference for people. The characteristic that I'm describing is someone who can thoughtfully evaluate the landscape of an industry, understand where the gaps are, and provide meaningful ways to close those gaps that actually have a positive result or impact for the people in that market.
What do you think are some of the biggest leadership mistakes that you've seen entrepreneurs make as they try to scale their business?
I think most small business owners hire help, they don't lead people. And so they turn through so many people so fast and constantly because either A, they hired tactical doers that they still carry all the mental load and they still have to own all of the decision making and the actual outcomes of what they're doing. Or B, they hire people that could play a huge role in the business, but they don't give them appropriate coaching and mentorship and leadership and development to help them to be successful.
So, you've definitely built a family first empire, and
Yeah.
congratulations on that. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
success.
Thank
So,
you.
you've really then continued to grow
Yes.
multiple businesses.
Yes.
So, what principles would you say have helped you scale without sacrificing what matters most?
Well, I think that first it's a decision. I think a lot of people make excuses. Mm, you know, I think it's a decision that you're going to have an and in your life. You're going to have a successful business and you're going to prioritize your health, your relationship, and your children. And is it easy? No, it's not easy, but no one's going to come save you. So you have to make that decision. That's number one. Number two, you have to build a winning team. And that means getting your heart broken. That means you're gonna have people that don't work out. That means that there's gonna be people you invest weeks, months, or years in that end up leaving, and you never get the result from it. On the flip side, when you build a winning team, you can have self-led companies, which I do. People are like, "How do you run 6 companies?" and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "I don't run 6 I own 6 companies. I don't run 6 companies. There's a huge difference, right? And that's because I've spent millions of dollars on hiring, developing, training, coaching, and mentoring good people, some of which have been with me for 11 years, and I empower them. So, not only do they have ownership in the business, and I don't mean like paper, like stock ownership in the business, I mean they take ownership of their role in the business, and they have the ability to grow their income based on commissions, promotions, incentives, all of those things. But you have to create an environment that's supportive of that. So you have to make the decision. You need a winning team to support you. And you have to have sales as a primary objective for both yourself and every member of your team. Because the vast majority of business problems can be solved by having consistent revenue growth.
So tell us a little bit about your family, if you don't mind. You've been very
Sure.
open about
Yeah.
homeschooling while running a
Yes.
growing company. So I'm
Yes.
curious, what has that been like with a young family? And how have you done it with really intentional living and leadership?
Yeah. I mean, it's just been a dream come true for me. When I think about success, I think that success is living your legacy while you're alive. And so, for me to take what I'm doing and make sure that there's continuity for future generations, that means giving the absolute best of myself to my daughter. And that's why homeschooling was so important to me because I spend all day, every day teaching people how to have multi-million dollar success and build the extraordinary companies and all these things. But if I'm not giving that same education and empowerment to my own daughter, I feel like it's kind of missing the point. Right. And so it is a sacrifice to homeschool your children. It was a hard decision for us. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot easier to send them out the door and see them, at 4 o'clock for 30 minutes and then send them off to sports at night. Me, my husband, and my daughter were together like 24/7, right? It's not something to take lightly, but it was the right decision for us and for her. She's thriving. She's such a leader already. She has her own business. She's a competitive dancer, so she has her own kind of life with that going on. But it takes a lot to get to the point that you can do that because, for me, that's 2 days a week during the workday that I am not available, right? That I'm focused on her schooling. And that is so joyful for me. And it is, I feel the reward of, 20 years of sacrifice as an entrepreneur to get my company to the point where I can trust my team to lead, to sell, to market, to serve, to make sure the businesses function and still grow, even though I'm focused on other priorities. And I think it's something that it's not a conversation enough, which is why I talk about it all the time. I see a lot of entrepreneurs that achieve 7 or 8 figure success that still behave exactly the same that they did when they were coming up. And I can't imagine the level of regret that they will have in their life that they still made the same choices with their family or with their marriage or with their children than that they did when they were starting, which the reward of having that level of success should create a decision to say, "Oh my gosh, like, I can invest in my children. I can invest in my marriage. I can invest in my health, my community, my church, these other things." But I think people have such a one-dimensional obsession with success, with money, with whatever the next bougie thing that they wanna buy so they can share about it on Instagram, that they kinda miss the whole point. And so for me, that's why I do talk about it publicly a lot because I feel like there's no leading voice that's out there saying like, "Hey guys, like success can buy you back the ability to focus on your legacy. It doesn't need to be about buying things. It can be about reinvesting in the people that you love the most and creating generational impact and change in your family, which then will have a multiplier effect. When I look at Madison, what I've done with her over the last 2 years of homeschool, she's now leading a group of 50 girls in her own membership that's paid, teaching them leadership, communication skills, speaking on camera, self worth, all of these things. So that effect of me homeschooling her has already affected 50 girls, which will turn into 400 girls, which will turn into 100,000, a million. That impact is immeasurable that our children can have when we turn around and invest in them. And I hope that just by being a voice out there that more people will consider these kinds of things.
That's amazing. Where are my children? Hello, kids, come on down. Let me get you started. I
Yes,
would love that. That's
yes,
really inspiring and not something that I've heard of before. So I cannot wait to see where she goes. What a little world changer.
yeah.
She's like a mini me.
She's a world changer. I don't even think she's a mini me. I think she'll just be so much more powerful than I am, and so I know that she will have a massive impact on the world, and that's why I think that the blessing of being in a position to take that time with our children is incredible. And, even when I started my business, when I first had Madison, I was still working my executive job and I was working, on my lunch break and all of these things to try and cover my executive income because I retired my husband because we didn't want Madison to be in daycare. And that was like super important to us. And, I remember even back as a baby, she would sit on my lap when I was live launching. And to this day, I have people come to me and say, "You were the first woman I ever saw leading a successful business, just kind of being totally natural, like with your daughter while you're launching, like talking, interacting." And it gave so many other women permission to like invite their children in the room with them and let them be a part of it because even just the byproduct of them being in your proximity when you're leading will affect what they believe is possible for them.
I love that. So tell me about self care because I'm very curious about your daily habits. Running all these, okay, maybe not running all these companies, owning all these companies, homeschooling, being
Yes.
all things to all people. Talk to me about your self care routine.
Yes. So I run my day basically exactly the same with different themes. So what I mean by that is every day, 7 o'clock to 7:30 is my prayer time every single day. That's a non-negotiable 30 minutes, me and God. 7:30 to 8 o'clock every day, work out with my trainer. So I'm lifting weights, I'm exercising, I get my session in before work starts. 8 o'clock every day, I'm on Miracle Hour with my team. That's our daily sales system. We generate sales, we generate leads, etc. And then from there, my day is different every day, depending on what my theme of the day is, and everything is time locked. So, like we were chatting earlier, like today was a content day for me. So I was recording content literally from Miracle Hour straight until we got on this interview this evening. Each day is different depending on the theme, but, you know, I am very rigid about certain things from the standpoint of 8 hours of sleep a night is non-negotiable for me. So, I get to bed early. I'm not one of those people that, like, burns the midnight oil, like, I get a good night's sleep every single night, and to me, that's what sets you up to have the energy to come in, calibrated and strong and ready to tackle the day each day.
Hmm, I love that. Amen for 8 hours of sleep. Like, I don't know how my friends do it. I have one who exists on nothing. And I'm like, How is it that you were created this way?" She's like, "I don't know." I'm
Yeah,
like, "I need my
I
sleep."
can't do it. I know what the repercussions are for me personally. I'm not I can tell that I can't function at my level of capability, and so I just don't let myself go there. Like, I want to set myself up to be able to function at a high level.
Yeah, I love that. That's so great. Well, Kelly, my last question for you today is what do you hope that people remember most about the impact that you've had?
I just want people to be able to, like, borrow my belief, know that anything is possible, invest in their faith first and foremost, then their family, and then business and success. And I think if as a culture can build a cohort of leaders that put their faith and family first, we're going to build better businesses. We're going to build a better world. We're all going to have more fun, make more money, and create the kind of world that we want our children to grow up in.
Well, I think today you've given us a lot of faith in this next generation. And really, that good people still exist in business. A lot
Yeah.
of people look at the outlook of America today and they think, oh, the fabric of our country is eroding. And I think that you have given us some hope today that
I
things
hope so.
truly things are way better than maybe we see they are or we hear they are. We got those good news stories today. So
Yes.
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome to be here.
Lots of fun. So, this conversation today, you guys, was so powerful. It's just a reminder that success doesn't have to come at the expense of the things that we value the most, from leadership and sales to faith, family, and the future of AI. We talked about all of it. And you have shown us, Kelly, that sustainable growth is built on trust, relationship, conviction, and a clear sense of purpose. We're grateful for your insights, your leadership, and the example that you're setting for entrepreneurs like us who want to build businesses that create both impact and fulfillment. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with a woman who's building a business, leading a team, or creating a life aligned with her values. So until next time, I'm Jodie O'Brien, and this was Influential Women. Keep showing up, keep innovating, and keep building solutions that matter.